Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome in, everyone, to Undrafted Uncensored. It's been a couple weeks, but we went through Snopening Day just for you because I knew you wouldn't go. And Colin also went too, and he stuck to his word. He's still not spending money on the Rockies.
Love it. Love it.
Nope. Spent plenty in Tampa, which was a really cool experience. Being down there to see opening day to, spring training facility and what they did to make it the Rays facility. One thing I do got to say is, good on the Yankees. There were very few things that were Yankee-centric out there. They still had a big emblem. Obviously, the Steinbrenner Field thing, it's going to say that. They had the big emblem by the VIP entrance of the Yankees and their, what do you call it? Their walkway. I don't know. It's not the same as the one at Yankee Stadium, but It was all Rays stuff. They actually did a really good job. I was disappointed that there wasn't a ton of unique food or really any unique food at the stadium. And I know we'll get into baseball here in a moment, but it was a tough loss for the Rockies in Tampa and a tough loss on opening day. But I do just got to say something to everyone who knows baseball. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And sometimes in marathons, you have some accidents.
As hard as she could, and she went all in. Myself? So can you not get my ass? Thank you.
Too far.
And we're just watching Colin's Instagram.
So there's definitely some pooping of the big boy pants that's happening for the Rockies in the bullpen. Specifically, actually, only the bats have also kind of gone quiet, except for today.
Thanks for Hunter Goodman.
Hunter Goodman on opening day could not get a hit for me.
No, but he got hit the rest of the time.
Yeah, I would have hit my 8-leg parlay for opening day if Hunter Goodman. That's the only guy I missed, or maybe it was 7. I had a 7-leg hit parlay, and Hunter Goodman was the only one who didn't get a hit, and he had a chance at the end. Not angry. I mean, I'm annoyed.
You're
at
disappointed.
He's
not mad.
Also,
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, he's also not the Rockies catcher of the future.
Placeholder.
He's definitely a placeholder.
Speaking of, actually, real quick before you go any further, did you know the Rockies have Nola on their roster? Or he's in Albuquerque? Aaron Nola. Well, no, Austin, his brother, the catcher.
Oh, I didn't know he was.
Austin Nola's in Albuquerque right now.
Okay.
I was looking at the roster yesterday, and I was like, that's weird.
I mean,
he had a couple good years, but he's obviously not his brother.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Romo is supposed to be the guy that's up and coming for the Rockies, and we'll see if Goodman can at least solidify himself as a decent backup for the Rockies. I mean, he's done an admirable job, and as far as the starting pitching staff, he's done a great job of working with that.
Yeah.
This is the thing that we've talked about with the Rockies for years, though. Is that they get one good portion, or they get one of them right out of the two. They have a good starting pitching staff, and they have no bullpen, or they have a really good bullpen, but you don't have leads for the bullpen to hold on to. And that's tough. This year they've been hampered too by the lack of run support. I said it earlier is that today was different. They finally broke out and got more runs. But coming into today, Shohei Ohtani had scored the same amount of runs as the Colorado Rockies. So,
damn.
When you're a full squad and you've played at that point 2 games at Coors Field, you would expect to be outscoring a singular player.
They almost doubled their run production today that they had up to that point in the season.
Yeah, it's tough. But I did figure out the secret. So the way the Rockies get hits is on the days that Shohei Ohtani goes over. You just need to hope that Shohei Ohtani goes over, and then the Rockies get hits.
Yeah, not a miracle or anything. Just Ohtani going over.
Yeah, that's going to happen often.
Yeah,
that's the key to success, Rockies.
See, what you're saying is, Colin, injure Shohei Ohtani. The Rockies will be great.
Well, see, he has to play though. Like he has to play and do bad, which is the tough part.
Yeah,
you're killing my strategy here, Colin.
The strategy doesn't work that way though.
Yeah. What's the strategy of making Shohei Ohtani play bad? How does that work?
I think all of Major League Baseball is trying to figure that out, but
the entire league is incapable of.
It'd be nice to just have 1 week where I don't have to listen to Shohei Ohtani did something else good today. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I mean, I do because it's usually fun to still watch, even though I hate the Dodgers. But
I'll stop bringing them up.
God, I hate the Dodgers.
I mean, I hate the Dodgers too, but let's be honest. I mean, this team is really a bunch of good guys, which also makes me hate them even more.
Yeah, it makes it hard to hate them because
they're not the Dodgers of old where they had some assholes on the squad, and they've done a phenomenal job of creating a roster and obviously circumventing any sort of salary that they have to pay. But you can do that, obviously, when you're in a market along those lines and you have an ownership group that's willing to make those deals.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, sitting here in Colorado, we get Jake Monfort every year saying, well, we're about where we need to be in payroll, and he's not wrong. I mean,
no.
They're in the middle of the
pack.
They're
a mid-market team in the middle of the pack.
And he's spending the money. It's just where the money has been spent. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah. And it goes to answer to I mean, you're one of them, but there's so many people that are always telling me, don't give the Rockies your money. Don't give the Rockies your money. I'm going to do it regardless, whether I'm showing up as a Rockies fan or the Yankees or Cubs series. Guess what? Wearing the other team's colors, and I'm going to give them my money no matter what. And, I know it's a far-fetched hypothesis, but I don't want to be the A's fans or the Rays fans. The Rays are still dealing with whether or not they're going to keep their team. The A's are watching them play in Sacramento right now. And to add insult to injury, is that the Bay Bridge that they have as a patch on their shoulder?
I haven't noticed.
There's a patch. So they have the Ricky Henderson patch. And then
it could be a different bridge over to Sacramento.
Okay, I was gonna say, dude, that's a bad look on you if that's the Bay Bridge, because that's just wrong.
I mean,
they have Vegas on the other patch.
I don't know if all the logistics of the San Francisco and Oakland area, and I don't know if the Bay Bridge is the crossover or if it's a different bridge. But you know what? I mean, I get what you're saying, Nick, that you don't want the Rockies to become the A's or the Rays. Speaking of the Rays, when I was leaving the game in Tampa, they were chanting "Sell the team" after a walk-off home run.
Yeah.
On opening day. Obviously, there's frustration there, and we're not the only franchise in Colorado that has a fan base that's frustrated at how management is deciding to spend their money, or the team that they're deciding to put on the field. But I do feel like the Rockies are really a lot more secure in their place in Colorado simply because of the contract with Coors Field, the cheapness of Monfort. Like, he is not going to try and move this team and lose a bunch of money by paying out all money to go somewhere else. I think that's something that we don't see happening. Now, could he sell the team and someone else possibly move it? Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, it's always a possibility.
I would love that.
I don't think
a baseball team. I'm kidding.
I think that Monfort. I really do think we've discussed this before, that Monfort really does like baseball, and he's got ties in Colorado. So if he did sell the team, I believe he would keep some sort of caveat in there that the team would have to stay here for some sort of time period. And this is just me without any facts to back it up. It's just a feeling, a gut notion that I have that the Rockies would stay here for at least a few years after even a possible sale. But I don't see Monfort eating that deal and moving the team somewhere else because he wants to. It would cost him too much money, and he's too cheap to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I think my thing is I love baseball too much that I don't care about, you know, who's getting my money, all that BS. I just love going to the ballpark. I love the game. Like anytime I travel anywhere, I find the nearest ballpark, minor league or major league. And I'm gonna show up there. I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna bare minimum. I'm gonna walk around the outside.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna take pictures. I'm gonna hit the team shop because I love the game, and you know I've always been one of those. I don't want to what if later. I don't want to be one of those. Man, I wish I had just a little more time or a little more this, a little more that. I'm going to show up. I don't care. I'm going to throw my money wherever I'm going to go. Cause I mean, if I don't waste it on baseball, I'm going to waste it on something stupid.
Yeah. Like
Sacramento Bridge.
Yeah. Sacramento Bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole thing that I've done. And I don't fault anyone. I'm not ripping on anyone for going and spending money at Coors Field. Obviously that's why it's just a personal protest. It's something that I'm doing. And if someone else wants to do something similar, cool. I have no problem with that. But I'm not going to rip fans because I love going to games too. And if I didn't set up my parameters for this thing, I would probably have been at today's game to watch Dolander pitch and watch his very first outing. That's one of the things. I know I'm going to miss moments like that. And I'm okay with that because I'm standing on that portion of what I decided to do. So when I look at this team and the Rockies, there is talent, and it's just frustrating that the ownership won't change their tune in any way. And whenever someone comes in and says something as far as different, they say we've tried that or that won't work, and they won't even give it a second thought. I don't know how many times we have to say it, but they want yes men, and they don't want anyone who will rock the boat. So I would love. I think that there's really only one, maybe two guys that could come in here that would be able to garner the respect from Monfort. And I think the one name is Theo Epstein, who we've mentioned. I think if they brought Theo Epstein in here, that would be a sign that Monfort has given up that control aspect of the Rockies. Do I think that that's possible? I don't.
No, I don't. Theo won't. He won't hit a front office again unless he's the owner at that point.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I mean, he's got enough World Series rings for one hand as it is with two different teams.
Well, then will he buy the Rockies?
No.
Okay. Damn.
I mean, if Monfort wants to sell, I think he would be interested because he likes reclamation projects.
As for Red Sox and the Cubs.
Yeah.
And I feel like, too, most people that would buy a team like the Rockies would want to keep it in Colorado because of the attendance, because of the established infrastructure. And you saw what happened. I mean, the Broncos are a much more, good franchise. But you saw how a sale of the Broncos and all of a sudden they're doing great. They're making the playoffs. Like, you could do that in baseball and make people like me give a shit about baseball. What are they going to be quiet this whole time?
Well, yeah, and you can with baseball. You can go from worst to first easily in a season. It doesn't take long to turn around a baseball team or a franchise. I think that's the biggest.
The Orioles do it 2 years ago?
The Orioles? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you said Orioles or Royals because the Royals did it too when they won their championships.
Yeah, they beat the Mets.
I knew that totally for sure. That's what Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take long. So that's what's frustrating about this Rockies squad is the promise of a future, and the future guys were not able to see. Although we did get a glimpse once again today of Dolander, who he gave up 4 runs through 5 innings, got the win. Bullpen held onto the lead, letting the Rockies score 5 runs in the 8th inning to really overtake this game. They gave up 1 in the 9th. but they held a 5-4 lead, and then they started to pour it on,
which is what they need to do. I mean, you and I have talked about it before too. They have to outslug their opponents right now, and once these, and I don't mean this insultingly, once these kids learn how to use the big boy bat, it's gonna be a whole different ball game. No pun intended.
The torpedo bat.
It's going to be. I'm good with it. I'm good. I have no problem with it. If they want to switch to the torpedo bat, go for it. It's just like. I was gonna say, it's just like, this is gonna sound really stupid of me. When the Dodgers found a way to just push all that money aside until 2030 and beyond, basically Bobby Bonilla, their whole payroll.
My guy.
Guess what? They found a loophole. It is what it is. Just like these torpedo bats, they found a loophole. They're not against the rules. They're not outside the size limit. And it just happened to be that the Yankees were playing a pitcher. They can't reach over 92 miles an hour, and they were teeing off on him because that's what Major League Hitting does. And, but the first thing is everybody has to cry cheating because the Yankees are doing this. There are 4 other teams with players that have those same bats.
Yeah.
So, Dave Portnoy, shut up. Sorry.
It kind of reminds me of when the Patriots were having the running back line up as an ineligible receiver, and then somebody would cover him. And it was like a whole thing that fucked with defenses. Everyone's like, that's dishonest. And they changed the rules. So you have to designate which players are eligible and ineligible because they got away with it so many times. They were like, no, Belichick's just cheating. And I'm like, no, guys, Belichick's cheating in so many other ways. Like, that is not it. That's actually just ingenuity.
Loopholes are loopholes.
Yeah, it's I mean, using the rules to your advantage. And that's what smart players and teams and coaches do. There's a lot of things that I would like to see the Rockies do. And I just think that the first thing for me right now is that I want to watch them play their young guys. If that's what you're preaching to us, put them out there. Let's watch them. Let's let them grow into fan favorites. And if they don't make it, then you let them go. I mean, you move on. As the Nuggets lose by 5.
About to say, and it is final.
Like you just gotta let this youth movement start at some point, and and not try and hang on to a Brendan Rodgers for too long.
Yeah,
Brendan Rodgers wasn't terrible, but was he what he was cracked up to be when he came up? No, and he had to change positions. He had a rough first year, but he was never one of those really good guys. He was above average at times, and that was about the best you could expect from him. So I just say put in the rookies, put in the young guys. If we're going to have growing pains, I don't want to see 35-year-old outfielders out there for 1 year at a time. Jake Cave, I love you, man, but, you weren't the future.
No. Great guy to have out there, though. And he seemed like a great clubhouse guy, but
Thanks sorry, everybody. Baseball in Oakland.
We didn't mean for this to start off as hardcore baseball as it was. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, by the way, and wherever you're at, whatever you're watching us on. Share, like, love, tell everybody, tell your mom's friends. We'll go ahead and move on real quick to the one place I don't want to go, which is the busted bracket that I have now. 0 for 2 yesterday. Both Duke and Auburn lost, and both teams gave up big leads. And, good for Florida, good on Houston. It is what it is. They stuck with it, and Duke, I think, kind of got lost amongst themselves a little bit too because they're such a tall team. It seemed like the easiest way to describe. They're a big team, but they're so tall, and they just kind of got lost. And I think the Duke aura a little bit, like, oh, we have this lead, we can just, the buckets will happen, the passes will happen, and then the buckets weren't happening, and they were just getting torn apart in that last 2 minutes of that fourth quarter.
Well, Duke didn't.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Duke didn't score a field goal from didn't get a field goal from the 10-minute mark on up until under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Duke's kicker was terrible.
That's what. I mean, you go 10 minutes basically scoreless. The only place you're getting points is from the line, and you're not creating a lot of those opportunities. You're going to go from a 97% win probability down to obviously 0, which is exactly what happened to that team. They went ice cold. They took their foot off the gas, and they deserve to lose that because this is a Houston team that we saw earlier this year come back from 6 down against a very good Kansas squad in Kansas, and beat them. Down 6 with 20 seconds left. That game is over. Should be. Not when it's Houston this year, apparently.
Dude, no. And you could see it on their faces. Like Duke was spiraling. Like I want to see a meme of Cooper Flag when they're down. They do the close up too when he's just like, I just want like not like this, like. But dude, it was like it, and I kind of hate to say it, but that doesn't happen with Mike Krzyzewski. Like that doesn't happen with Coach K. Like they don't have this colossal collapse like that. If they do, it's some missed shots or whatever. But like that just felt like the game got away from them, and Houston just kept doing everything right. And even in the times where I felt like maybe they should have fouled, they gave Duke a chance to fuck up, and every single time they did, and they would turn it over and breathe more life into Houston. It was crazy. So
Houston had that moment too, like at the end of the game where they had that technical because he reached across while the guy was trying to inbound the ball. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of Duke's little miracle right there. That's gonna bring him back, and that's the slap in the face Houston needed. And
it's almost like that lulled him into a false sense
against
of security.
Yeah. They were like, oh, okay, there's the Duke moment. Now here we go. We're going to be fine. And I'm like, you guys are fine.
Now Duke is going to make a bucket and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Not fine.
One quick shout out, James Volsky, number 1 in the bracket. So he's number 1 out of all E5280 sports. Jason.
Wojtek Volsky.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Oh wow, yeah. There's a poll.
Yeah, sorry. James is another guy in our fantasy football league. Jason Volsky. He's number 1 in all the E5280 brackets. If Florida wins, he wins it all. So he's part of another longtime fantasy football league that me and my brother-in-law are in. A bunch of other people, Wicker, a bunch of guys from there were all in the bracket. But Jason has the first spot, and if Houston wins, so if Florida wins, he wins it all. If Houston wins, then someone named T Small, I don't know who it is, I don't know who T Small is in our bracket, but those are the 2 that are going to be the winners of this. It's only down to those guys. No one else can win it because it's either Florida or Houston. So they're the number 1 choices for both of those guys. So.
Congratulations,
big congratulations on a hell of a bracket getting to this point. And much like we're talking about, if Duke had beaten Houston there, Jason would have dropped down even further because he had Duke facing Houston. So he got really lucky to have the exact Final Four matchup as it was set. But all around it was a great bracket. A lot of people in it till the end because of Duke being there, and it was pretty fun. Nick was there, and now he's dropped off.
Now I'm just on the outside looking in.
Yeah, like I said, we appreciate all the love and everyone following along and doing their brackets with us as we head into the final game of this year's March Madness that ends in April.
Yep, and then so stupid now. And then obviously UConn taking the women's NCAA title this afternoon. I didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of the game. I had a digital show to produce over at Mile High Sports, so I kind of had an eye on the TV. But I mean, if you'd asked me before the game between UConn and South Carolina, who do you have? You're going UConn. Yeah. UConn's such a perennial winner, and there's such a good squad right now that even though they were in there number 2, we all knew they were number 1.
Yeah, like you take South Carolina against every single team except UConn every time. Because you're going to take Dawn Staley and whoever she has on her squad for sure against everyone except Gina Oriema. Like they just keep doing it. And Paige Beckers has been the one of those girls from that legendary tournament with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese that's kind of still in college. So this was going to be her final year, and one of the best players UConn's had for a while on the women's side. So yeah, this was going to be huge, and it would have been nice if South Carolina made it more of a game. But it feels like that happens a lot too in women's, where there's just a lot of blowouts, at least in the college side of things. I've noticed that more and maybe that's just more of a this year thing and not more of a trend. But it seems like the people that are really good at this are really fucking good at this.
Well,
or it maybe just snowballs momentum wise. I'm not sure why.
Something that hurt this tournament was the Juju Smith-Watkins getting hurt.
Yeah.
For USC. That was something that really changed everything in this tournament because USC was rolling. And,
hence the number 1 seed.
Yeah. And then that injury knocked everything off for that team. And I'm not saying they would have been that they would have beaten UConn with her there, because UConn has had a hell of a year, but it would have been a closer matchup. But UConn did just continue to roll.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it just felt inevitable once the matchup was set. You just kind of look at that matchup and go, that's UConn all the way. I mean, it is what it is. It's still good basketball. As women's sports continues to grow, I think it's going to become a better thing. Anyway, I was talking about this with my parents earlier, and just just the growth of women's sports and Caitlin Clark and how she's doing so much for women's sports because she's that personality. She's so nice. She's taking pictures with people still, and we all have those days where we just don't want to deal with people, where you just want to you go to work, do your work, leave me alone, put my AirPods in, get whatever I need done, and I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
She
just one of those days.
Yeah, where you don't want to wake up.
You don't want to wake up.
But I mean, her office is every place she goes. And so she just always seems, she's always taking pictures, she's signing things for kids, and I know some of it is probably frustrating, but she hides it really well. And that's really cool that she's able to do that because, we all have those days, but we don't. A lot of people don't think about it. They see a robot in a professional athlete. Oh, you're out and about, so you will sign autographs. No, they're a human. They want to sit there, drink a beer, eat some popcorn, and be left alone to just sit there in their little corner of the world and watch a game.
Yeah, they're people just like me and you. I mean, I went out there and I had a lot of stuff today. I had my first baseball game. I went out there with a lot of stuff on my mind, and I was not the same player that I normally am, and it just, it happens. And it's not like they're any different or immune to that because they're pro athletes. In fact, I would say there's probably, it's harder for them to have those days and, to have an off day because there's so much more pressure riding on it. And it's not even necessarily pressure that should be put on them with all the gambling and everything that is allowed now. Like these guys and girls who get death threats and everything because they didn't hit the over. It's wild. I know I make fun of it and screw around with it and, and talk crap about Hunter Goodman because he screwed up my 7-leg parlay. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not tweeting at him and telling him that he should quit baseball for the rest of his life because he had one game without a hit.
Yeah.
People do that.
Yeah.
I just think of that episode of The League. You guys have watched that show?
Oh yeah.
When Ruxin loses because Antonio Gates has a legendary day, and then he's all pissed off in the spa, and fucking Antonio Gates comes and sits next to him, and you can just see the struggle on his face of whether he wants to say something or not. And then he just goes off and he walks out of the sauna with a big black eye. And he's like, yeah, you got punched by Antonio Gates. Because in reality, nobody actually has the balls to do that and say, except jokingly,
I miss that show.
Bunch of keyboard warriors, and
yeah.
we appreciate all the people watching us out there on the internet and interacting with us, whether it be through our Facebooks, whether it be
Instagram.
Undrafted Uncensored, our personal ones, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, YouTube. Much appreciated, much love. Thank you, everybody, for watching and tuning in. But,
you know what I don't like?
5 in a row.
I don't like where the Nuggets are going. This is not. I mean, at first it was kind of jokingly, they keep losing like this, they're going to end up the playing tournament. Now I'm like, is that the broadcaster's curse right there? Because this is starting to come to fruition. And apparently Jamal's hamstring is worse than they originally thought. Does that really hurt the Nuggets, though? I mean, if he's not able to play in that first round, can you Band-Aid them into the second round?
I mean, yes, but it still hurts for sure. Like, it depends on the matchup. It depends on a whole lot of things. I'm going to need a pair of depends because I'm going to shit myself watching every game without Jamal Murray in the actual playoffs because he was a massive factor last year for the Nuggets playing on one foot. So, I mean, 1 or 2 games would still concern me, but would not be the worst. But, like, if he's out for the first round – I don't love seeing Jalen Pickett come off the bench playing point guard against Minnesota in the playoffs. Like that concerns me, but at the same time, you got to get him healthy. So I would rather go through whatever the fuck you have to go through to get Jamal Murray healthy so you don't have a repeat of what happened last year in the second round against Minnesota where the injury was just too much to overcome. He was playing too much on it. 1 day of rest in between each game wasn't enough. Like, I don't want – that's worse, especially with a hamstring. That'll be worse. So I don't want that. But, man, you got to win a couple games. And luckily, Memphis is not looking great, but a lot of these teams are still playing their starters. So you can't count like Memphis and Sacramento as guaranteed wins because Sacramento, I think, is still trying to get a play-in spot, or are they clinched?
Well, I mean,
last year, the Rockets, you might get a little bit of a break with some starters not playing, but like, man, these last 3 games, I'd like to get 1 or 2 wins, man.
Yeah, I mean, when you were mentioning the Rockets, and that's where I was going to go, is that you fall down, your chances of playing the Rockets. That's the only team I would really like the Nuggets to get by against without Jamal Murray. But to go back to my point that I've been saying all year long is ever since Jamal Murray signed that contract, this playoffs is really up to him. I'm not worried when you have Jokic out there on the court, but Murray, you have to play a competent role in this offense in order for this team to succeed in the playoffs because Russell Westbrook, as fun as it has been, now we're getting to the frustrating part of Westbrook. The missing layups, the bad passes, the negative plus minus more nights than the positive. Those things are starting to wear on this squad. So I think you can get by a Houston team that doesn't have the experience in the playoffs. They have some guys who have been in the playoffs, but not really experienced a full playoff battle. It could be tough in one series. But if Jamal Murray doesn't show up in these playoffs, he's the one who's gone. I don't see the Nuggets moving Aaron Gordon at all. I know he's been in and out of the lineup too, but even when he's come back in the lineup, he's been much more consistent. And Jamal Murray is the one whose contract is really the thing that held this team up. I'm glad. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad the Nuggets didn't re-sign KCP because I've loved Christian Brown.
It's been fantastic. I agree.
It's been great. And so that, though, held up the Nuggets from being able to make moves at the trade deadline. And so they're going to offload him in the offseason if he doesn't prove to be bubble Murray or a championship Murray that we saw just 3 years ago.
Yeah, I agree completely. And another guy who's in danger of that is Porter. depending on how he shows up in the playoffs. If he kind of disappears and his threes aren't hitting and he's not doing the rebounding and defending that he was doing in the championship run, you may get teams that are just more interested in a guy like that. So you may end up seeing one or both end up going. So, like, yeah, I agree, man. That's going to be it. Like, it sucks because the team that I would like to play the most in the first round is Memphis, and I don't really see that working out.
The road isn't going to work out.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was going to give you
some games because getting that 3 seed would give you a really good chance to play Memphis. But yeah.
See, I was going to give you some pushback on MPJ, but I had to stop myself real quick because maybe the best thing for him is a change of scenery. And I think at the end of the day, I would love MPJ to work out here, but if things can't get right in his personal life, which is what this is, it's a lot of personal life stuff. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, and if that's what's best for him, I mean, I hope the Nuggets can get a good deal in that, obviously, and get some players in return. But I don't want to see him fall into the darkness that his brothers have fallen into and his family has really fallen into. And that means him moving. I'm not going to be angry about him wanting to change scenery. If that's the reason.
If it's a personal thing.
Yeah. And I would say that working out too. You won a championship and we got good stuff in return to continue the title window of Nikola Jokic. So I would still call that kind of working out to an extent. It's not, best case scenario for everybody, but best case scenario rarely happens. Sadly, only one team can win. And Porter may be one of those guys. The Bulls could give you some dudes. Brooklyn's got some players. You've got some teams, and we'll see how the draft shakes out for everybody, who wins capture the flag. With that big loss, does he make good on his promise of potentially going back to college because they had a rough fucking I almost said playoff loss, tournament loss in March Madness? But I still feel like he should go to the draft and probably will, but that's something to kind of look out for. But there's going to be teams out there that are looking for players. And Jamal Murray wouldn't be a terrible guy to look at for some of those teams too. Just we need someone to run our offense and score a shit ton of points and run a 2-man game with our big guy, So I can see it working out either way.
And that's why I said if it's a personal reason for Michael Porter Jr. to go, I think if he has a bad playoffs, I think some people might try and run him out. But I'm at the point that I don't want to run him out just because he has a bad playoffs, because it's simply knowing and having a little bit of an idea of everything that's going on behind the scenes in his life. I don't think that people should hold as much against him. We were just talking about this with Caitlin Clark. Yeah. There are a lot of other things going on in Michael Porter Jr.'s life. And what you see and read in the newspaper are really only the tip of an iceberg there, because that's what's reported on. So if he needs a change of scenery, I say let him, then try and find the best possible move. But if the Nuggets want to move on from him simply because he has a bad playoffs, I think that this is a very tough year to judge that and to judge him on that, because last year in the playoffs, that's what really started his defensive play and rebounding. He started to step it up, and it continued into the early portions of this year. So I think Jamal Murray is still the scapegoat, and PJ could be a guy if he needs to, for personal reasons, move on from Colorado, then I get it. But I don't think it should be for the play in the playoffs, because I'm not expecting it to be. I'm not expecting it to be great. I hope he surprises us, but that's why I think it really goes on Jamal Murray's shoulders a lot more than MPJ's.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like he just might be easier to trade. He's a guy that teams might be more interested in because he doesn't seem to have attitude problems. And that's also a skill set that is probably easier to replace at that level. Whereas another playmaker scorer like Jamal Murray is really hard to find. Granted, he's not consistent at it, but you're going to go get Lonzo Ball. I love Lonzo Ball, but like I don't love that. I love that in the game of 2K.
He plays less games than Jamal Murray.
Exactly. Like, who are you going to get at point guard? That you need someone that can really run the offense with Jokic. Like we're going to get Josh Giddey. You were trading Jamal to the Bulls.
I want to be opposed. I like Josh Giddey actually.
He's gotten better this year, but man, he couldn't hit a shot, and he was a liability for OKC last year in the playoffs. So as long as he can. Honestly, he does kind of remind you of Porter to an extent,
I honestly, I really do like how Josh Giddey has played this season. He's taken it to another level as far as his game.
Yeah, I think the Olympics helped him a lot playing for Australia.
Yeah, I mean,
so. He really kind of helped out his playmaking and a lot of his, just other skills besides having to score and just be a tall defender. Anyway, but I feel like, that's what we're looking at, folks, is obviously playoffs right now. But like you also in the back of your mind, even if you win a championship, like this core may just not be sustainable. And it's what can you potentially get for either of those two guys?
I mean, if you win a championship or make a run, sorry, Nick.
No, you're
make
good.
A championship or win a run. Jamal Murray staying.
Yeah, it's true.
Unless he is absolutely not a part of it, Jamal Murray is staying, and they're not going to move MP. They're not going to move any of those guys because they're going to keep the starting five, and they might go into the second apron to try and get it back to back, which is a big mistake because you can't bring in players when the inevitable injuries happen, and we've seen with this team with Murray and Aaron Gordon. I mean, there's been a little bit of MPJ, but it's more personal stuff than it is injuries that this team can't stay fully healthy.
We've also seen that Calvin Booth is not great at filling the roster. Aria starts. So, you can't always rely on necessarily getting the cream of the crop in some of those mid-level and vet minimum.
We're all pretty excited about Dario.
Yeah,
we were at the time because that seemed like on paper the dude, but like, man, he fell off a cliff immediately, and he looked bad. I mean,
the playing time too hasn't been there either. So I mean,
true, but how can you keep playing it if he's going to look like that?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like you can't foresee that coming with how Sarge had been playing.
Yeah.
And to Michael Malone's credit, though, he hasn't been putting him out there because he hasn't proven that he belongs. So, was it a bad signing? Yeah, but when he made that deal, it looked like it was a really damn good deal. So I don't fault Calvin Booth for that, in all honesty. I really don't. I think that it didn't turn out well. I don't know if the fight that Sarge got in overseas, it like really screwed him up or something. I don't know if you guys remember that, but before the season, he got in the bar fight. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe something there happened and a light clicked off because he hasn't been the player for the Nuggets that he was in the previous season. So
I don't know. Well, time will tell. The Nuggets have a few days left before they finally determine where they're going to be sitting at. So we'll just have to be patient and hope they end up on the right side of the bracket.
Be patient and pray for somehow the Grizzlies, probably not. The Clippers. I'm kind of okay with Minnesota round one. I kind of want to fucking take it to them. We've already lulled them into the false sense of security of, hell of a win streak. So let's break that streak against them. I would kind of like that. Least favorite option, Golden State.
We'll see. Avs come back home. They took 2 out of 3 on that road trip. Their travel was kind of screwed up too. So the fact that they came back in St. Louis yesterday was a miracle in itself. And I know Bednar even said that's not an excuse, but their travel was pretty screwed up, and these guys aren't getting a lot of sleep. And no matter how much you try, you still want to make sure you guys are rested. And 2 out of 3 is not bad. Yeah, you don't want to lose to the Blues, a division rival, and all that fun stuff. Avs have just enough of a lead, though, that I think that's not going to hurt them too much, and they can skate their way into the postseason with that 3rd spot in the Central.
Yeah, Blues have won 11 straight games, so you were going up against a hot team after you literally poured 7 on the Blackhawks. After being down 2-0, they they're like, all right, it's time. It's go time. And they kind of started to do that with the Blues in the third period in that game also, which is something reminiscent of what we did see in their Stanley Cup run 3 years ago towards the end of the season, where it was like, oh, now they're going. Oh, now they're playing. And that's something exciting to see, is that they can flip that switch. You would like to see them flip it a little bit earlier, obviously, in games. But I think for the Avs, I'm less worried about the Avs because of the deals they were able to make at the deadline than the Nuggets.
They're a better team. They're clearly a better team now.
But the Nuggets didn't make any deals at the deadline either. So, there was talk of potentially trying to move on from some dudes and mess with some bench guys, because Calvin Booth was offered deals. I believe it was for Porter. Yeah, because you can't trade Murray. And he turned them down. He didn't really consider any of them. So they could have done some stuff. I guess they talked about moving on from Saric or Zeke Nagy. And you know what? Even though I was saying he's not great at doing some stuff, good on him for not trading Zeke Nagy, because he actually looks like a dude that may come in handy in the playoffs. And I feel so fucking weird saying that.
Yeah, but the Avs, I think, are in a spot that is, I think it's pretty good. The goaltending has been obviously way better since December. Yeah. And what this team has done to really transform their whole roster has been pretty amazing, and it should lead to a championship style run. Granted, we don't know what injuries or things could happen upcoming, but I see the squad, and I don't think there's a team out there that is deeper or scares me, besides the historical bad luck against the Dallas Stars. That's really the only thing that I can point to that I'm like, but I'm not afraid of the Dallas Stars. Like, I don't look at that squad and say they'll beat the Avs. I'm like, the Avs, I think, are better all around than them. The Avs are in a very good spot. So these last few games going into the playoffs, I say just continue to get, continuity and knowing each other and the chemistry going, because you are the team to be reckoned with.
And just so you know, I don't know if you guys saw this. My brother shared it earlier with me. Well, me and my family. But Landeskog has been cleared to, if he wants to, take 3 games with the Colorado Eagles. So anybody wants to take a drive to Loveland?
Yeah.
I'd get those tickets now, because they're going to sell fast. If you want to make some money, I'd get those tickets now.
Yeah, that's a really good call, right? Though you could flip them if you needed to. That would be cool to see him up in Loveland. I wonder if I wonder what my schedule looks like if that can work out. That'd be dope.
If it ends up happening,
I'm still not.
Yeah,
I'm still not counting on Landeskog yet.
No, you can't count.
I spent a year and a half counting on him coming back. Until I see him on the ice, until I see him off LTIR, then I'm happy with the squad we have. Would I love to have him back? Of course, but right now, like, ride with who you got. I think Landeskog ideally would love to end it all this season, come back this year, play in the playoffs, and let that be that. And that's a wrap, folks.
I mean, that's all, folks.
I don't know if you can, but I mean, to end on a high note and walk into the sunset with another Stanley Cup. That'd be great.
I don't think he can get through a whole season. I don't.
Yeah, damn. Okay.
That's why I think ideally for him is be able to come back this playoff run and go try and get another cup.
We'll see.
And then that would be it.
Yeah, it is what it is. We'll find out. I think he's going to push it as far as he can until he has to have that leg completely amputated. But that's just me. Hockey players are a different breed. Real quick, I mean, obviously we opened up with a lot of baseball. I don't know, Colin, did you want to do any more with being down in Tampa watching the actual opening day?
No, I mean, it was like I said, it was really fun. I was really surprised. If you go down there, there's $10 parking that's not 2 miles away or a mile and a half away, like I paid for. It's really close to the stadium, but you got to go around a corner. What's up, Peterson? Around the corner. But like it was cool. It was cool walking in. It was cool everything I saw. Like I said, and it was great to be that close to a game. I just wish the bullpen didn't blow the lead. Questions are going to be surrounding Bud Black and starting pitching. Even today, Chase Dollander only threw 79 pitches. So there's going to be questions around the pitch counts for these guys and how long they're going to last and what's really the story with them. And
Marquez looked good the other day. What was it, Saturday? He looked good.
Marquez was Saturday,
deep. Yeah. He looked good and he went pretty deep. I think he was about 85, maybe 85.
I'd have to look up where
I have
he
to
was
look
at.
it up again, but he looked good, and it's good to see him come back and look as good as he did.
And my worry with the Rockies and the starting pitching is much like the Nuggets starting lineup. Are these guys going to be able to stay healthy? Marquez, Sensatella, and Freeland have both proven that they go on IL stints. Austin Gomber started on the IL.
Yeah.
That's my biggest worry as we get into the season, but it is still early and it's a marathon. The Rockies have pooped their big boy pants pretty quickly. But one team before we get into the next part that we got to mention beforehand,
I thought that
has not pooped their big boy pants.
Pooping your big boy pants, and then
is the DU Pioneers. DU Pioneers are going for 11 championships in hockey. Game this Thursday. It is going to be one of their best chances to go and win 11. Really, they're playing Western Michigan, a rival from the NCHC, the number one seed in their division, who won the Penrose Cup this year. They were the best team in college hockey, but DU has played them tough every time. They lost a double overtime game against them, and then they play the winner of then whoever wins that game plays the winner of Penn State and someone else. I don't know. I'm just rooting for Penn State because I have a cousin who goes there. Second cousin who goes there, she's graduating from there. As I just spent my time in Tampa and my family out there. By the way, people in Florida don't know how to drive, but they definitely drive fast. Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last, and it's time to talk about who's first place in the victory formation.
This is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin just kind of winging it.
Oh, that's right, everybody. Welcome into the victory formation, where if you haven't been following along with us, we make real bets with fake money, keep track of it to see who's the most profitable at the end of the year. And this week, one of us went 3-1 and two of us went 1-3. Does that mean it's a comeback? Well, let's talk about our games from this
Don't call it a
week.
comeback.
I've been here for years.
First things first, we have BYU versus Alabama in March Madness. Well, Nick and I both got that one correct. And that means that Joe got that one wrong, choosing BYU, because I thought he was going to choose Alabama. If you remember, I said, he's going to want to say Alabama. And he didn't.
Yeah. That's why I said it just now.
And the Cougars got hunted down by the Alabama Elephants. So Nick and I both won 14-59 there. Rockies versus Rays, as we were just talking about, that game in Tampa, game 1 opening day. Well, Joe was the only one smart enough to pick the Rays, winning $15. Nick and I both lost that. And then it goes to Athletics versus Mariners opening day. Athletics blew a lead and Mariners came out victorious, meaning Nick gets that victory at 1571. And if you're doing the math, that means Nick went 3-1 this week because he also correctly chose Texas Tech over Arkansas. So for the week, the biggest loser was me at minus 1541, but I am still in first place at 248.37. Second biggest loser is Joe, losing $15, but Joe slips into third place at 238.26, and Nick has moved into second place and within $3 of me, winning 34.30. He's at 245.95. It is a busy week, so we got a lot of games. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on your whatever platform you're watching. It does help us a ton every single time you do that, no matter whether it's the same video. If you're watching the video for the first time, or you're watching this video and you've watched all our others, every single time you hit the like button, it helps us out on a show. Just don't unlike it or dislike it, because that's not nice. Speaking of not nice, is that we've got some interesting matchups. What's not nice, first and foremost, is that we never picked our UFL teams. So guys, we got to pick our UFL teams for the season. And so we got the Michigan Broncos, the Birmingham Barons, the Houston Roughnecks, the Memphis the DC Commanders, the Arlington Defenders, St. Louis Battlehawks, and San Antonio Brahmas. Sorry, Memphis, I don't know who you are. I will say I had my team picked before I chose this. So when I saw them, I obviously know where the standings are, but I don't want you guys to look it up. Nick, choose who you want.
I'm going to go Brahmas again because I can remember it.
So you're San Antonio. All right. Nick is the Brahmas.
Damn it. That's the one I wanted. Because that's Wade Phillips. Okay, then I'll take the Broncos. That was Michigan, right?
The Michigan Broncos?
They're the Broncos.
Okay.
If I can't be Wade Phillips, but I've hogged all the Wade Phillips the past few years. It's only fair Nick gets some Wade Phillips.
I was going with the Battle Hawks because I love that crowd in St. Louis.
Yep. You've been hogging that one too.
Have I? Did I have them last year?
No, I did.
I can't remember. I thought I had DC last year. Either way.
Maybe Nick had them then. Somebody.
Okay, so let's get into our real picks
last year.
We got this.
So I will say, just for the sake of that, my team is 2-0. Nick, your team is 0-2, and you're 1-1, Joe.
Fuck yeah.
But
no, fuck.
If none of you guys chose the Battlehawks, I had my backup squad, which was going to be Houston, so which is also 0-2. But either way, let's get into the real picks and the real games. What everybody wants to know: who's going to win the national championship? Nick, is it Florida or is it Houston?
Give me Florida.
Joe, who you got?
Give me the magic of Houston. Come on.
Oh, okay. Joe's taking Houston. I'm taking Florida. I had them in my them in my pick'em. So that's where we're going with. We move on to college baseball. Number 2, Arkansas faces number 3, Georgia. I believe this game is Thursday this week. Joe, who you got?
Razorbacks. Fuck it.
All right, Joe chooses the Razorbacks. Razorbacks screwed me in last week's pick'em, so give me Georgia. Nick, who you got?
Yeah, I have to go Razorbacks too.
All right. And we move on to our UFL game of the week. DC Defenders at 2-0 against the Battlehawks at 2-0. Obviously, me choosing the St. Louis Battlehawks means they're my ride or die. So give me the Battlehawks. Nick, who you got?
St. Louis.
I mean, I can't jinx them. So let's take. You said it was who? DC That's what I said. Yeah, we'll take DC for sure. That's my team. Yeah, my other team. Yeah.
Your second favorite football team that plays ball of foot. All right, and we move on into the NHL. We have the Blues, who, once again, I just mentioned they were on a hot streak, playing the Jets. This one's in Winnipeg. Nick, who you got?
St. Louis is too hot right now. Give me the Blues.
Oh, you are taking? Okay, I thought you were saying Winnipeg. Okay. Nick is taking the Blues. Joe,
I was telling you Winnipeg is where the Jets are.
Flying by on a jet plane.
Fuck it, Blues.
Oh, well,
do it, Colin. Jinx them. Do it.
Honestly, that would be a great way to end the streak is to pick the Blues. But I had the Jets down. They're at home. They've been playing really good hockey all season long. Jays versus the Red Sox in a series that opens up, I believe, tomorrow night.
By Instagram, we love you.
Sox in Boston. Both teams have I think the same record. Joe, who you got? Blue Jays or Red Sox?
Let's go. Let's stick with the blue theme. Blue Jays.
I didn't realize that I had a blue thing going on here.
No, I do with my choices. So,
well, I didn't realize they were in that. The Red Sox really poured it on and figured out how to score some runs the other day. Our old friend Trevor Story hit a bomb. And so give me the Red Sox at home against the Blue Jays, even though I really do love the Blue Jays this year. Give me the Red Sox in this one. Nick, who you got?
I hate both teams. I mean, the Red Sox have started to figure it out, but Toronto's still sneaky. And I think they'll take that one out of Fenway. Give me the Jays. Jays, eh?
Nick has the Jays. And if we lose you on Instagram, sorry, we only got one more pick left, and that is the Celtics versus the Knicks. Nick, sorry, or wait, no.
No, it's me.
Whose turn is it? I don't know whose turn.
I don't know.
I think it should. I don't remember.
Fuck it.
I'll just take.
Oh no, it's me actually. It's my turn.
Makes sense. That's why I can figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, because Nick went last, so therefore, because Joe went first. Yes. Give me the. Oh man, it's hard. It's hard to pick against the Celtics. Give me.
Colin should have gone first.
Yeah, give me the Celtics in this one. I really don't want to pick them, but give me the Celtics. Nick, who you got?
It's really hard to pick against the Celtics, so give me the Knicks.
Love it.
Joe, who you got? Wrap us up.
I was going to take the Knicks anyway, so let's do it.
All right, and there you have it, the victory formation as we send all of our picks out into space.
Oh, that's the name of the song. That's why he makes these kind of jokes, because it refers to the name of the songs we play as outro music.
And there's the outro music. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you, Michael Spillin, and everybody over at ep280sports.com for hosting us. Thank you guys for tuning in. Without you, we couldn't do this. I mean, we would, but it wouldn't be as much fun. So make sure to like, share, love, whatever platform you're on. Let everybody know we're here. We're going to be here for a long time, and we'd love to interact with you guys. Don't forget, you can get the comments too. So thank you. We'll kind of get everything figured out. Oh, don't forget, Spartans tickets are on sale. Family 4-pack for $100, or tickets starting at I think $10. The home opener Saturday. If you can't be there live, I will be on YouTube giving you all the play-by-play with my boys Joe Rico and Alex Ramirez. So, no matter what, no excuse not to see me on Saturday. Okay, be there, be square. L7 weenies. All right, for Joe Goodwin and Colin Zanker, I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been Undrafted Uncensored. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We love you. Until next time, may the power protect you.
Happy birthday, Ann Artist!
All right.